Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to PSGL. We are, of course, here for F3. It is round number 14 of the championship as we take in the F3 race here from Bahrain at the Sakhir International Circuit. My name is James Said with a bit of a hoarse voice tonight. I'm going to be taking to the stream as always on a Monday night for F3. Joining me in the commentary box will be Storm. He's running a little bit behind schedule, but he should be joining me very soon indeed in terms of commentary. But hopefully you're all doing well. We are, of course, here in Bahrain for the final round of the championship. It has been a very quick season, I've got to be honest, here in PSGL. I felt like yesterday I was doing my first race around here, of course, in F3. But of course, what happened last week, I've got the wrong standings up, I've just realised. Give me a second. That was the F2 standings from last week. F3 standings, of course, were Rudy taking the race win. They haven't been updated actually on the website for a couple of weeks, so I need to have the updated standings. Don't know where I can find them, possibly in Discord, hopefully. Give me a second. But yeah, of course, Rudy wrapped up the championship last week, so there's no actual championship battle coming into tonight. But that doesn't mean, of course, that the drivers will be taking this race absolutely at aplomb. It is, of course, going to be a very clean and competitive race, and hopefully a bit of fun is going to be had out on track there as well in Bahrain. Just trying to find the standings. I can't seem to find them anywhere at all for F3. I know they were updated a little while ago, but I need to find them. Give me a second. I'd normally get prepared for this, honestly, but I can't find the stream. What happened? And there's been no real reports, actually, in the last couple of weeks either for F3. I'm just trying to honestly look through and see where the standings actually are. Such a difficult Discord sometimes to try and look through. There we go. Right, F3 standings. Let me have a look. And we should have the updated standings here somewhere. There we go, I've got them now, finally. Rudy out on top, though, 98 points to his name. Metty there in second on 79. Joey in third on 66. Nuth in fourth on 62. Cameron Dowd's fifth on 56, along with Marlon. He can wrap up fifth, possibly tonight, if the outscores Ron by just only 1 point. Wilmer up there in eighth on 45. Izza in ninth on 40. And Cortez also in ninth on 40 points. But here we go, we're about to get going straight into a qualifying. We're starting a little bit early, which is very nice to see in terms of the action out on track, and we're going to get going very soon indeed, of course, for qualifying. Hopefully you're all doing well in the comment section. Let me know how you're feeling, but this is the final race of the season here in F3, so hopefully it is going to be a fantastic night worth of action. Well, I'm definitely ready to start. I've got the stream up all ready to go, and we are live currently on the channel, which is really good. Only 13 drivers, but that doesn't mean that we're going to get a really good action out on track, as I've been joined by my co-commentator for this evening. It is, of course, EKG Storm. Storm, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm better now. Yeah, just had to literally run and sort all the shopping that game. I was literally, why come at this time? But no. It's been one of them days.
Been one of them days, but at least you've got the shopping in, and at least you now can look forward to the F3 race, of course, here tonight. You've joined me, I think, once already this season, or twice already this season in F3. Of course, Rudy wrapped up the championship last week. This race could be treated with a bit of fun, but with only 13 drivers here, hopefully we get a clean, competitive race, and a track like Bahrain normally delivers some action.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a lot better than what we saw in another league on Thursday. Hopefully the racing is a little bit more better standard.
Yeah, I definitely think it will be. I mean, these guys obviously are the creme de la creme of PSGL F3. By the way, big thank you to Logan and to Cameron Anderson, of course, who took you through the action last week in F3. Massive appreciation for both of them, especially Cameron, who joined in very late indeed for F3 last week, and that's really appreciated, of course. Logan not here tonight, I believe he's at work. So they all alongside me, of course, here Storm tonight. Of course, first two men out on track, Marcados and Joey. They are on a set of mediums and a set of soft compound tyres, respectively. Interesting though, Yoga's gone for a set of intermediate compound tyres. Same with the Hyper as well. So both SXT drivers going for a set of intermediates. Not really surprising, to be honest, because of course they can get that other fresh set of soft compound tyre. They can keep that tyre compound spare for the race.
Yeah, as Rudy not wanting to qualify, and he is going to start potentially at the back of the grid. I don't know if he has any qualifying ban as of sort. But yeah, no. What a race to end on a season finale. It's a bit unfortunate the championship for the drivers has been already decided, because we could have had a nice way to finish with the championship on the line. I don't know if the constructors is still up for grabs. Obviously, I'm only coming in as a reserve tonight. Obviously, James will be able to update us throughout the course of the evening. But yeah, looking at the grid tonight, James, who do you think may be on pole, and what time do you think will be the fastest?
Well, I was going to say Rudy will be on pole, but he's retired from the session. He's doing the last to first challenge. But I honestly think Markadors has got a little bit of class about him around this track. I've seen him race here before, and trust me, Markadors is a very, very quick driver, so hopefully that's going to be the case. Down in towards turn 1 then, on this sort of medium compound tyre, so obviously he's not going to be setting the timing screens this early on in qualifying, but Markadors down in towards the right hand of turn number 1, misses the curb there, but he can get a really good run through the inside of turn number 2, and then through the right hand of turn number 3. He nearly invalidates, actually going out wide there through turn 3, up the slight rise in towards turn number 4, of course Bahrain underneath the night lights, of course, here, and also underneath what was one of the first night races actually in Formula 1, when obviously it was inaugurated in 2004, and then it became a night race, I think, a couple of years after that. Marco's still through the first sector, competitive first sector there from him, and of course he's already got a race win this season as well. The AlphaTauri team are currently in 9th position, 38 points to their name. I believe that Haas can wrap up the constructors though tonight ahead of Alpine, so it's going to be quite interesting. I'll update you on that as soon as we go forward with Marco's lap. Ron has retired from the session as well. I believe he is retired in the pit lane, so that is Ron already out the session in the Red Bull. Hyper and Yogan obviously going around on that set of inters, so you can ignore them in qualifying so far. Marco's coming through the right-hander of turn number 12 now, and then through the right-hander of turn 13. Oh, and he nearly spins the car through turn 13. Goodness me, what a recovery there by the AlphaTauri. Doesn't want to be doing that in the race, otherwise he would have been straight in the wall as Marco's comes now through the final corners at turn 14, then through the right-hander of turn 15. Nearly runs wide again, right on the limit, and Marco's now runs to the line. And it's a 1:27.2 to start off the night, and actually that is not a bad lap to set of mediums.
Yeah, as Joey goes and absolutely smashes that on the soft for the Alpine team with a 25.9. Now, I was back here in Jeddah when we had the Jeddah race, and there was one driver that I was very impressed with, and that was Marlon. So if there's going to be a dark horse this race, I think it's going to be Marlon, who finished on the podium in Jeddah. So, yeah, he might be one to watch for in the McLaren.
Yeah, I'm on board with them now, actually, coming in towards turn number 11. Z3 are there in the comment section as well, saying, is it allowed to be on inters when it's dry? We haven't had a communication or any communique saying that drivers can obviously go inters then onto a set of dry compound tyre. It's purely just saving that fresh dry compound tyre for the race. Obviously, there's not going to be any rain. Tyre wear is quite high around here, but Marlon through the middle sector was a 104.8 through the middle sector, and the McLaren now on the run down in towards turn 14 and turn 15. Joey though out on top, Rexig there in second, Marco's in third. We've got the Rexig fan club joining us in the comment section as well. I can see there's Marlon now runs to the line. Should go second with this lap, 26.2. Nice and competitive lap from him, and he goes second. Dutch Missile, of course, are likened to a ICBM, if you know what that means, that Mr. Logan normally says. He's backed off his lap. I think he invalidated on his last lap, so Dutch Missile there in 11th position. Hyper there also on a set of inters. Yogan also on a set of inters. Not really competitive. In fact, Yogan has just got in the wall, coming through the exit of turn number 10. I think he avoided the wall there, but he went out wide. Nuth, though, he was having to rush to actually get set up before this race. He put in the Discord saying if he's slow off the pace, then he's probably just set up his setup out on track. And Nuth there, 6th position, 36.9, clearly just getting to grips, I think, with his new setup, because I believe he's been getting a new wheel and everything, if I'm not mistaken. So he can treat this qualifying session as a practice session, really.
Yeah, he can. I don't know who is second in the constructors. Probably James can update me on that.
Alpine.
But there is... Oh, so there's only one Haas here tonight that I can see, which is Rudy. So Rudy is going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders to try and get that championship for him and his teammate. So yeah, so we could still have a big battle in the constructors. Alpine versus Haas. I thought I'd never say that in a conversation for a championship. Constructors, we normally have a Red Bull or a Ferrari or a Mercedes. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the two SXT drivers, it'll be interesting how they battle each other, being in the same esports team as well.
Yeah, definitely so. By the way, if you can hear in the background, I've changed my setup around a little bit. I've now got my PS4 on a little laptop stand, and it's not half making the noise that it normally does. So I'm very impressed by my new setup at this point. Will Murdoch, though, is about to go onto a lap on this set of soft compound tyres. He has been dominating on GT Sport recently as well, but we'll see what the man can do on the run down and towards turn number 1. He won, actually, a karting race in real life as well at the weekend, so congratulations to that on the win. And Will, obviously, from karts to Formula 1 here tonight, coming through the left-hand return 2, then through the right-hand return number 3, catching the curve very nicely indeed. Anywhere around a 25.6, 25.5 I'm expecting really from Will Murdoch. He's normally quite quick around this track, as we now see him coming through the end of the first sector, a bit twitchy out of 4, then coming through the first sector, 27.9. So there or thereabouts in terms of Joey's first sector. Speaking of that, though, he's just invalidated coming out the left-hand return number 6. Typical with Will Murdoch. He had the pressure put on him, and the pressure he is cracked under. However, the Portuguese man, Cortez, is on a lap as well. He's on a set of mediums, and he's in towards turn 4.
Yeah, as he makes his way through turn 4, and on the exit of turn 4, he is... Oh, is he going to invalidate? No, he's not. And, yeah, I have to say, working with James, it's a lot more quieter now not to hear that PS4.
It's normally whirring away in the background. Do you know what it was? I had it on my desk, and I think my desk reverberates the sound around, so that's probably why it was. We've cleaned the fans out in that today, and it sounds half quieter than what it normally is, which is really good, and hopefully you're hearing that at home as well. Z3 are there in the chat as well, saying good luck on comms. He'll be able to do his own comms now, so good luck there, Z3 on your own commentary, wherever that might be. I think it's in PSGL, as Cortez now comes to the right-hander of turns 12 and 13, 105.7 in the middle sector, so there or thereabouts in what we saw with the new sort of lap time, Dan Spreen, Marketals, about that area. I think he's going to be going, the Portuguese man, the Shazoo Academy driver, of course. He now comes down and towards turn 14, then to the right-hander of turn 15, it's Joey out on top, Molon in second, Rexnick in third. I think Cortez is going to go 5th here, and he does, 27.3, and that's on a set of mediums. Marcos has obviously now selected a set of softs, so there he's in 4th position. Yogurt and Hyper also out on lap times, by the way, and they're still out on a set of inters. So they're clearly feeling that the tyre wear is quite high in the race, and they want to try and keep as many, as Yogurt goes for a spin, actually comes through turn 11 and gets in the way there of Marlon, who's probably just thinking, what on earth are you doing at this point? Yogurt, though, on a lap, there in 8th, but I do believe we had one instance where drivers were on a set of inters. It was it was the 2 Alpines, Joey and Will Murdoch, was in Hungary, I think, and both of them received qualifying bans, if I'm not mistaken. So that might be coming their way if, obviously, they haven't read the rules.
Well, it is the end of the season, so that would go, I presume, on to the next game with whatever tier they do get into next season, if they do sign up, of course. But yeah, I just wonder, is Rudy DNF'd himself, or whatever has happened, to go on the medium compound tyre, go for a longer stint, and be on a fresher tyre, or like a soft, coming when, the end of the race, when the other drivers around him will be on a medium compound tyre, potentially?
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, he's going to be at the back end of the field. Will Murdoch there running to the line goes 3rd, 26.6. He's gone on to a set of soft compound tyres. Rexnick, interestingly, going for a set of medium compound tyre. I've just witnessed there on the graphics to the left-hand side. Joey though out on top, all on second. Will Murdoch third, Rexnick in fourth. Yeah, back to your point. I think Rudy is probably going to go one-stop strategy. I would say mediums, and then you're going to be getting the mediums. 12, 13 laps. You might have to go onto a set of hard compound tyre. Would not be surprised if you go onto a set of hards around here, but it is a simple one-stop strategy. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some of that here tonight. Rexnig is Gigachad? I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologise if I've just completely butchered that. He's in 4th position though, 26.8. Hopefully nothing rude that I've just repeated there on the stream. But the Rexnig fan club is in full working order, and I like that.
Yeah, so Dutch Missile, only the driver not to set up. He's still in the pits. The other thing Rudy could take into a factor is if he starts on the mediums, there's a safety car early on, especially going down into turn 1. It can get a little bit I wouldn't say a mess, but it can get quite interesting for these drivers, as we saw in Jeddah. It did get a bit entertaining going into turn 1, and it is going to be interesting to see how he fares against drivers with the more faster compound tyre.
Big C, by the way, I've just seen a chat with Will Murdoch there in the Discord. He has asked Big C, on Twitter it seems, what is the penalty for using inters in the last race? License points probably, and time penalty perhaps, I don't know. So Yogurt and Hyper could be landing themselves in a bit of trouble. They're on that set of inters. Hyper's now gone on set of mediums, has probably realised. Yogurt's probably doing the same as well. And I think if they've realised, then fair play. But obviously, they've broken what could be a rule, and that is something that you can't really look across, to be honest. Joey, though, was on a lap. He's looking quite quick, actually, here, in towards the right-handers of 14 and 15 through the double right, and Joey, 25.9 to try and beat Barry sideways at the final corner, on the run to the line, and actually bailed on his lap. He wasn't improving, I don't think, in the end. Marlon, however, Storm, though, he is a tenth and a half up, nearly 2/10 up, through the middle sector into turn 13. Oh, as he goes really wide, snap of oversteer, and invalidates.
Yeah, he's put himself up there on the front row. May we have a little Lando Norris on our hands. I believe he's a German driver, is he? Or is he Dutch?
German.
He's one of the two. Well, he's doing it very proud tonight in the McLaren. And yeah, he's my one to watch this evening. I think he's going to get another good result. Like he did when I qualified. I commentated with you in Jeddah. It feels like so long ago that we did PSGL together. I'm even forgetting the time of day.
Oh, that was ages ago, Jeddah, I think. That was round 7, so that is how long we've been missing together in terms of the commentary here tonight in F3. Nuth has just made a big mistake coming out of turn number 12 through the middle sector, and he's still on a valid lap, but he's on the run down in towards 14 and 15, so clearly this new setup is not going according to plan. Normally, what would be a favourable position, Nuth, but here tonight, as he now completely obliterates the pit entry there, just running across the white line, and Nuth is into the pit lane, so clearly not happy with that, with 4.5 minutes to go in the session. Joey out on top, Marl on second, Will Murdoch currently in third. Rexnick, however, is only a tenth and a half down, actually, on a set of mediums through the first sector, so he's not looking there too bad at all. Good evening to Mr. Luke Etheridge in the comment section as well. PSGL goated commentary, of course, there for PSF1. You can catch that, of course, at 8 PM. Aidan Carter and Luke Etheridge taking through the action, of course, for the top tier worth of action. Isma and Blizzard going down to the final race of the season, and I think there's 9 points separating going into the final race of the season as well. One's on 141 and one is on 132 points. As we've got a comment coming in as well from Cole. Why F1 cars in F3? F3 is the tier that they are in, not F3 cars if you're getting confused. We are in Formula 1 cars throughout in all tiers, so don't be confused by that. F3 obviously is not going to be added into the new game either, which I think is a bit of a shame, but it is just the pure tier and their ability basically and their pace throughout. As you spotted something there, Storm?
No. I was just waiting for you to finish. As also, don't forget, PSGL is running a fantasy league on Grid Rival. You can download the app on Android and Apple. You can join PSGL and prove if you are truly the best at Fantasy League. You can pick from your favourite drivers like Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, or even George Russell. And I believe there's a cash prize for it as well. So if you want to use that and go and try out your Fantasy League, then that is also on offer.
It is indeed. Dutch Missile coming through the middle sector, through the turn 13, on the run down in towards 14 and 15. And he's not looking too bad, actually, on the set of medium compounded tyres at this moment in time. It's Joey out on top, Marl on second, Will Murdoch there in third. Dutch Missile coming through the final corner, though, on the run towards the line. And he's going to go, I think, fifth, and he does. 26.9 on the set of mediums, fastest medium run that we've had so far. Joey complaining in the chat, by the way, in Discord, saying, why is everyone going to a set of mediums? Well, it's because it's the better tyre around here. Softs do not last that well in the first stint of this race. They only last maybe 8 or 9 laps at a real push, and then they really start to go off the cliff from that point onwards. So the further you go on the set of softs, the more likely you are to actually forfeit ground out on track, and that is why, obviously, we're seeing Yogurt, Dutch Missile, Marketers, everyone, basically, from 5th downwards, going on to that set of medium compounded tyres. It's the better tyre to be on in this race. But Joey is coming through the middle sector. He looked quick through the first sector, didn't catch his first sector split, but coming through the middle sector now in towards turns 12 and 13. We'll see what his middle sector is. Oh, and he's 2.5 tenths up already. So Joey comes through turn 13. Very nice apex there through 13. And this is looking like maybe the pole time to beat here, with obviously Rudy down in the session, Ron out of the session as well. They're not going to be improving in terms of their lap times. Drivers, by the way, are coming out the pit lane. I think Hyper might be the only one not to come out. But Joey, though, on the run to the line, goes quicker with a 25.6, 2.5 tenths. He's happy with that. I'm happy with that. Can that be beaten, Storm?
Well, the question is, we're all going to find out. So, yeah, it's down to the drivers. But, yeah, it might be beaten. It is a very quick time. But, yeah, it's going to be close, as we've got quite a few drivers already on a flying lap. We've got Marlin on a flying lap. We've got Dutch Missile. Marcados is on a lap, and the rest are on outlaps.
They are indeed. Marlon is not really the furthest on out on track. Marcados I'm going to go on board with, though, because he's an absolute blistering first sector. 27.6 in the first sector. Normally, when you get the top end of the guys in F1, they'll be sending 27.2s, 27.3s through the first sector. But Marcados through the middle sector, and he's there or thereabouts in Joey's time. This is going to be extraordinarily close. He rides the curb through 13, degrades a bit of speed away, and I think that's cost him. He's going to get second, I think, with this lap. If he really attacks 14 and 15, though, it could be different, as he now comes through the final corner, and he runs towards the line, coming out of turn 15. This is going to be close between Joey and Marcados, and Marcados decides, no, he's not improving, and he decides to go into the pit lane to start on that medium set of compounder tyres. Moran, though, running towards the line. He goes second, and he improves on his time, 25.9. Will Murdoch there, 200s down in the first sector. He will improve, though, noticeably in this middle sector and in the final sector as well. I believe Dan Spreen is on a lap as well. Timing has glitched slightly, I think, out on track, unless Hyper is the final man to come across the line. I think the timing might have glitched. No, he hasn't got enough time to set a lap, so Dan Spreen is invalidated. Nuth is on a lap as well. He's just coming through the first couple of corners. Will Murdoch, though, 104.8. He's not matching his title rival, or his teammate, I should say, at this point. But Will Murdoch coming through the final corner. He's running toward the line on this set of soft compounder tyres, and he goes third. He remains in that position, 26.3. Rexnig, 2 tenths up in the first sector, though. He could try and steal the spoils.
Yeah, as we ride on board with the Red Bull driver, as he comes through the very corner that looks so difficult to get through, but these drivers make it as painless as possible, as he is going to go through the DRS. And he does that perfectly. He's going to have to be careful here, because you can spin the car. I've done it a few times, and he does it very well. And I'll hand you back over to James for what will be the end of his lap.
Yeah, he's not going to go pole with this lap, I can tell you that now. I think he will remain fourth. He's only a tenth and a half up in this middle sector. Cortez is on a lap as well, behind him, I believe, as well. And he's on a lap, he's still valid, so we'll see what the Portuguese man can do as well as he comes towards the line. But Rexig, the pole, on the run toward the line, stays fourth, 26.7. Cortez, though, backs off cheekily at the line, and Cortez will not improve. Moreland's obviously ran out of fuel as well. That's the end of qualifying, and it is Joey out on top from Marlon there in second, Will Murdoch in third. It's the final race of the season. Bit of a mixed up grid, just makes it a little bit more exciting, I think. But Joey out on top, Marlon second, Will Murdoch in third, and Joey, I think, on the account that nobody really put any effort in that qualifying session, he's on pole.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the fastest of qualifying sessions we had. Well, you've seen this season, and yeah, it's now going to be a race to see who is going to take that race win. Will Ruddy do a last to first challenge? We're going to find out very shortly, so grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and get settled in for 29 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, and just to answer Leonardo's session, Luke has already done it in the chat, he's already ahead of me, the Northern folk coming in there early, but yeah, we've ended short qualifying, only a one qualifying session, not like PSF1 of course, which has 3, and of course, have we got PSF1 this week? Hang on, give me a second, I will double check the calendar. Yes we do. No we don't, in fact. PSF1 is done for the rest of the season, so unfortunately you're not going to be seeing that, so you've only got us here tonight in terms of the PS tiers. But Joey out on top, Marlon there in second, Will Murdoch in third, Alpine doing exactly what they need to try and beat Haas, with Rudy of course starting there in 13th position. But Joey out on top, Marlon there in second, Will Murdoch in third, the pole of Rexdig in fourth, Yogurt there in fifth, Dutch Missile in sixth, Marcados in seventh, Cortez in eighth, Piper and 9th, Dan Spreen on 10th. They will all start on their qualified compound tyres. You can see it there. Softs for the top 4, mediums for the 5 drivers below, and then Dan Spreen, of course, basically a 50-50 scenario between softs and mediums. Nuth also set a lap time on a set of softs. He's just getting to grips, I think, with the game, and Ron and Rudy there right down on the back of the field. 2 interesting contenders possibly for the race sprint, starting right at the back of the field. But Storm, Joey Adams, top ball on second, Will Murdoch in third. Didn't really see much in that qualifying session. The race, though, is going to be completely different, because I have a feeling Joey's probably not going to be out on top by the end of this race.
Yeah, I don't think Joey... the thing with Joey, I think he'll possibly top 5, I think minimum. But yeah, using softs at the start, as you said, they're not going to last very long. So the option for him to go on the mediums would have... Oh, as Marlon has left the session, I think going on a medium compound tyre, like some have down lower in the grid, was the better option, because then they can go the distance, and then if there's a safety car or a VSC and they are close to the pits and their tyres aren't at the best life that they were at the start, then they can make that pit stop. They're going to halve their pit stop, and it's then going to help them get up the grid when the driver's in front of them, when their tyres are gone.
Joey in the chat, by the way, in Discord, saying he did 2 practice sessions. He did a 0.4, 0.5, and then a 0.6 in the session. That's how consistent he's been, but that's how slow he's become as well in terms of the lap times as well. And I think that's just the difference, obviously, between time trial, Grand Prix mode, and obviously multiplayer within the game. Marlon saying he's being disconnected. Dan is wishing everyone good luck in the chat there as well, and hopefully you are all wishing the drivers good luck on the final race of the season here, of course, in PSGL PS. It is Season 30, F3, Round 14 of the Championship, Bahrain, Sakhir Grand Prix, at Sakhir Grand Prix, Sakhir International Circuit, Bahrain Grand Prix, and it is a 5.4 kilometre circuit, 3.3 mile, with 15 turns, of course, awaiting our drivers out on track, and we have now got going for the formation lap, and interesting tyre calls actually further down the field. Of course, top 10 qualified on the set of soft compound tyres that they started on, apart from Yogurt, Dutch Missile, Marcos Cortez, and Piper, who all on set of mediums. Rexnick has also left the session, so maybe there's a little bit of a glitch going on with people disconnecting in the session. Possibly going to have a restart, perhaps. Well, waiting on the chat to see. We might be having a restart, though. The 2 drivers are being kicked off. Now, I had this last night as well in TTML F1, which I did last night, and a couple of drivers got kicked out of that, and then we had to restart the lobby. Will Murdoch has also left the session, so I have a feeling we are going to be restarting perhaps here tonight, and I think with drivers being kicked out it only makes sense. Hopefully there's nothing untoward PSN going down or anything like that. Nuth has just disconnected as well, and I have a feeling before I get disconnected I'm going to quit the main menu just to be safe and sure. But yeah, Dan Spreen, just waiting on him to say in the chat whether we are going to have a restart. Everyone though seems to be just getting disconnected, so hopefully we're going to have a race at least here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. We don't want any cancellations, because I think it would be such a shame to not have Bahrain go ahead. And yeah, while we are waiting for the drivers to get back into the lobby and ourselves to get back into the lobby, I'm going to come to you, James, as this is the season finale. What's been your race of the season in F3?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard. There's been really good races this season in F3. I'd have to say Jeddah. I'd have to honestly say Jeddah. Marlon obviously took the win that day. And Jeddah, for me, I think was just one of those races where it was so close. We had a few safety cars in that race as well. And for me, it was just purely and utterly one of the best races I think I've seen all season in PSGL. So yeah, Jeddah for me, probably a few more that's escaped my memory. But overall, I think it's been a really good season in F3. But we are having a restart, by the way, just to confirm.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've only done one in F3 as well, so I think I would go for Jeddah as well. It was absolutely one of the best races I think I've seen at the top level, because obviously this is my first time up this high in PSGL. I'm normally F9, F10 area, because obviously due to availability, hopefully, fingers crossed next season, once the schedule's sorted out a little bit for myself, you know, you'll be seeing me well, I wouldn't be saying seeing, but hearing me a lot more in the higher tiers in PSGL. But fingers crossed, we'll have to see what the future holds and what the new game holds eventually. And yeah, but no, it's it was a fantastic race, I think. Well, some might say it was great for them, some might, being Jeddah, some might say it was an absolute horrific nightmare being Jeddah. But also, James, I wanted to bring to your attention, I've seen the weather forecast for Monaco this week. A little bit of rain in Monaco this week. What's your thoughts on that?
There's always a threat of rain in Monaco, and it always remains in the mountains, and it always remains dry out on track. So I think we're probably going to get exactly the same scenario as what we normally get in Monaco, where there's rain up in the mountains, it always threatens the track, but it never actually comes down out on track. But obviously, if we do have a wet race in Monaco, I think it could be maybe one of the races of the decade, dare I say it, because wet conditions, Monaco, maybe like Olivier Panis's win back in 1990 something, and Olivier Panis went on to win. There was only 4 finishes, because I remember Riccardo Patrese crashed out, Ayrton Senna crashed out, I think it was the late 80s, 1988 I think it was, and there was only 2, 3, 4 finishes, something like that, and Olivier Panis took the win. Are we going to see something like that in modern day Formula 1? Probably not, but it'll be very exciting if we do.
Well, and I hope Charles Leclerc doesn't have his curse of bad Monaco races, as we've seen recently he didn't have the best of days with the famous Niki Lauda car as well. So hopefully that Monaco curse is lifted, and hopefully he also doesn't have the Spain nightmares where that engine just didn't want to go any further.
Yeah, definitely not. Just looking in F6 chat, by the way, it looks like they've got going okay in terms of their race. That's currently being live streamed by Jackson. Nuth saying in the chat as well, he won't rejoin the lobby because I have huge amounts of input delay and it's too dangerous to drive like that, so I'll sit back and watch the stream instead. Good to have you along, Nuth. Maybe if he sits on the spectate mode in the lobby, he could be sort of Ted Kravitz out on track for us here tonight. Obviously only down one driver there. Hopefully not many drivers are going to be affected by this desync disconnect issue, whatever we got. I've just received an invite. Storm, I'm going to throw you one over in just a second. Big thank you, by the way, to everyone, 22 of you that are currently tuning into the stream. Let me know your predictions in the comment section for the race, of course, because we had Joey out on top, Marlon there in second. I have a feeling Marlon perhaps is going to be stronger than Joey off the line, and I have a feeling this is Marlon's day, with obviously Rudy starting in 13th, but you cannot discount the PSGL F3 champion. I'm just going to go, I do need to go blue screen, because you've already got an invite. Perfect.
Yeah, Dan beat you to that one. The Dutch beat the English. But no, I think also the way the Bahrain track is suited to maybe more a setup where, because the problem with Bahrain is, do you go with a setup for straight line speed because you've got turn 1, down into turn 1 should I say, has that long straight. I think it may be one of the longer straights that the most track has, because I know tracks like Baku that have the very short run down into turn 1. Obviously you've got that DRS as well, straight as well. So yeah, I think for this track you might want to go for a setup that has a bit of mixture of the downforce, obviously, for the drivers to get that straight line speed, which obviously Rudy's going to need plenty of, as he will be starting at the back of the grid.
Yeah, he will be indeed. Rex Snake, by the way, has said give him 5 minutes in the chat, so might be waiting a little bit longer for everyone to join in. Dutch Missile has just joined in as well. So it looks like everyone's restarted their games. This disconnect issue has been quite prevalent, actually. I know they did maintenance earlier on today, so it could be down to that, and they might have put something buggy in the game which just disconnects people at random points. Marco is now joining the session as well. I've just put in the chat as well, by the way, the full grid order, and to remind you of that full full grid order, it will now be Joey out on top, Marlon second, Will Murdoch in third, Rexnig in fourth, Yogurt fifth, Dutch Missile sixth, Markador seventh, Cortez in eighth, Hyper there in ninth, Dan Spreen in 10th, and it'll be Ron and Rudy 11th and 12th. They still start on that set of medium compound tyre. Everyone else who qualified in the top 10 start on the exact same compound tyre that they qualified on. But of course, Storm, with a lobby restart, they're actually going to be starting on fresher tyres than what they would have been, obviously, in the first restart.
Yeah, that does obviously, you know, I wouldn't say it gives people behind Joey a little bit of a disadvantage, because he would have been on them more worn tyres. But yeah, no, I think being on more fresher tyres, we can see more battling happen in the later laps after lap 8 when the softs do start to die, because they will be fresh tyres. But yeah, no, these drivers, their tyre management is incredible, some of them. So yeah, I reckon we might see somebody go a little bit longer on the softs than 8-9 laps. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who goes on what outside the top 10, being that the mediums are the more suitable tyre. Will somebody start on the hards? Will be an interesting situation as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, Joey making a funny comment, by the way, in the chat and saying, can we start Rudy in 13th, even if Nuth doesn't join, make it a bit harder? We are waiting on Rexdig to join. He's the only man, I think, that we need to actually put in terms of the role, in terms of the grid order. So, Rexdig there will be starting in 4th position, so hopefully he'll be able to join back. If not, his Wi-Fi, apparently, might be causing the issue there, so perhaps he might not be racing here tonight. It's a shame, but obviously something happening in obviously that part of the world, in Europe, of course, maybe with a few disconnections, an internet provider going down or something like that, but we have to wait and see. Dan also needs to pick his car, as been mentioned there by Marlon in the chat, and also Marlon wants to watch Hamburg versus Berlin, which is obviously a German Bundesliga game, I think that's going on at this point, so I might try and sneak the scores in if I can. If he's got the stream up, I might try and sneak the scores in if I can. But while we're on the subject of football, did anyone hear about Sunderland getting promoted to the Championship on Saturday? I'm only saying that because it's my club.
Yeah, when you say that, James, you might just want to check if there's any Newcastle fans around here.
There's plenty. There's plenty. I know plenty of Newcastle fans.
Yeah, trust me. You had the sheer joy of Sunderland going. I had the sheer pain of watching Man City win the Premier League on Sunday. So yeah, I have to take one for the team here, I think.
That I'll tell you now. That Premier League finale was better than 2012. By an absolute mile. It took 6 minutes for them to score 3 goals, and I said it was the 70th minute, I think, and my mum came upstairs and we're watching BBC Final Score. There's other television programmes, by the way, available for the football, but yeah, she came upstairs and I literally said to her, Man City will win 3-2, and then about 6 minutes later, about 10 minutes later, they were 3-2 up. So just call me as you will, I might be one of those people that actually influence world decisions at this point with my prediction there.
Yeah.
But it looks as if I think we're getting going very soon. We're waiting on Rexnig. There's a little bit of rivalry going on in terms of the chat as well between Hamburg and thingy. And HSV Hertha apparently is the second game of the relegation. So it's the relegation battle that's going on. The relegation playoff, I think.
Yeah, in the Bundesliga, I love that we've changed from F1 to football all of a sudden. But yeah, in Bundesliga, if I'm right in thinking, German people can correct me in the chat, they do their relegation a lot different to the Premier League. They have like in the Championship they have a playoff. Yeah. They do it like that down in the bottom of the Bundesliga to see who will go down into the Bundesliga too. It's a very unique way to do it. I think the Premier League could probably do with it, but yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one, especially for Hertha, because they're in the capital of Germany, and yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, back to business in PSGL with the race coming up.
Yeah, Rexlig saying, yeah, his Wi-Fi, I think, has gone. So Rexlig, unfortunately, from 4th position, not starting this race. But yeah, Nuth also saying in the chat, by the way, Hertha Berlin's 1-0 up at the minute, so if it's 1-1, it's 1-1 at the minute on aggregate, to both ties combined. So Hertha, I believe, need to score another goal for them to win that relegation playoff, perhaps. But only 11 people. I know we've only got 11 people, and people in the comment section might be thinking, oh, wait, you've only got 11 people. Why are you streaming it? I stream any single race. I prefer quality of the action above the quantity of the drivers. And with the quality of the action that we've got coming up here in F3, hopefully, I'm now saying this and it's going to be a very clean race, and hopefully a possible race of the season candidate, I always stream every single race. If it gets cancelled, it gets cancelled. There's nothing I can do about that. But obviously here, only 11 people. Drivers should have a bit of fun out on tracks. It's the final race of the season. There's nothing really to lose. There's nothing really to gain. Drivers just need to go out, have fun, clean competitive race, and I'll be happy. Anything else on top of that, absolute bonus. As we are, better get going.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise. I was just sorting out. Someone was asking me a question, so I was just trying to sort that out while we have that interval. And I think there is F2 going on tonight, James, because I believe Jess is doing it.
Yep.
And then obviously Luke, our goat of a commentator. I've known Luke years, I think, and the same as yourself as well. Yeah, he is absolutely one of the best PS commentators I have come across. I first got to know him in another league, which is One Hub, and yeah, he is one of the best commentators alongside yourself and Jess. So yeah, it's no surprise that you guys are in doing the top 3 tiers in PSGL, because to me, obviously yourself as well, you've helped me along the way in commentary and improving myself since I've been doing it. So yeah, it's a pleasure to obviously work with James, and hopefully we can go out, not in a bang, that would be the wrong term, but hopefully we can have a good race and have a fight for the constructors between Alpine and the single solo Haas. Really has got one hell of a task to do. Can he do it? We're going to find out in 29 laps. So sit back, watch and relax as me and James take you through the action here in PSGL F3 for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
I'm just going to say this now. If Rudy doesn't last the first challenge, it's Rudy. It's just Rudy at the end of the day, and he will have a really good chance actually of winning this. We're down 2 drivers, obviously. There's no getting around that. But everyone who was meant to start on that compound tire, the top 9 especially, have started on that compound tire that they qualified on. Ron, however, and Rudy, both of them, I believe, won a set of mediums to begin off with in the first restart. Of course, Ron in the top 10 would have qualified on that compound tire if he was in the top 10 originally. He was 12th out on track. They get jumped up 2 positions. It's a bit of an advantage rather than a disadvantage for them. And Ron and Rudy, on that set of mediums, they're on fresh mediums as well. So hopefully it's going to be a really good race out on track. The season finale, of course, about to begin here in F3. F2, by the way, just to bring you up to date on what's going on there, Assie, Bull and Louis, the top 3, they've got a safety car and they're 7 laps into the race, about to go on to lap 8, with the safety car ending very soon indeed. But better get going here, of course, in F3 tonight in Bahrain. And Storm, I'm going to come across to you. It's the final time as a co-commentator here, certainly in F3 at least tonight. Who's your top 3?
I'm going to go with Will, Marlon and Joey.
Marlon, I believe, spun as well on that formation lap, if I'm not mistaken. He's the last car to actually join up on the grid. But yeah, top 3 for me, I'm going to go Will Murdoch for the win. I'm going to go Rudy for second, and I'm going to go Marlon for third. The 5 red lights now coming on here. It's the season finale, round 14 of the championship in Bahrain, and it is lights and away we go. And Joey absolutely electric off the start, but second phase of the start, Marlon will draw alongside as he runs down towards turn number 1, chasing down the Brit in front, and it's Joey who leads in towards turn number 1. Marlon nearly into back of him there into second. Will Murdoch in third. You're good on the inside in fourth. Markler's there in fifth. Everyone is clean through in the background safely. Cortez nearly got chopped up there by Hyper, and they're running now side by side up the hill and towards turn number 4, but Joey leads the way. Marlon in second. Will Murdoch in third. Yoga getting really hounded there on the back there by Dutch Missile. Little bit of contact on the inside line through turn turn 4 with Dan Spreen and Cortez, who's making up very good ground off the mediums, and now goes around the outside through turn 6 and 7. They're on the outside line. He gets the job done. Beautiful move by Cortez. The Portuguese man through, and he's into 7. Dan Spreen and 8 tries to put the nose up the rear end there, but he doesn't. Hyper there in 9th. Rudy in 10th has only gained a position off the start. Could gain 2. There was Hyper, just lags in front of him slightly. Rudy goes to the inside line. Hyper falls in for a mistake, and that is Rudy's move, and that should be Ron's move as well for possible 10th position as well. But Joey leads the way. 8/10 of a second already for Marlon. Marlon absolutely slept off the start in the end. He's struggling in terms of the compound attire. Joey is waltzing away out in front. Marlon in second. Will Murdoch in third, and the top 3 have already pulled out of DRS range to Marcados in 4th.
Yeah, and what a end to a first lap. And as you said, if Joey's waltzing his way through, then I definitely want to know what music he's listening to. As yeah, he's on his way to the end of lap 1, as Marlon is going to follow him down into turn 1. But Will is on an absolute charge at the moment. He is catching Marlon, and he's only 6/10 behind.
And speaking of catching as well, Rudy's right on the back of Dan Spreen. He's using up the DRS to good effect, the ERS to good effect. Pulls the inside line towards turn number 1, and Dan Spreen goes into the back of Cortez, and this is Rudy's move down the inside line. Job done for Rudy. That was easier than what I was thinking, actually. Rudy through, and he's into 8th. Dan Spreen into 9th. It looks like he's got damage as well on the right side end plate as a result of that contact into the rear end of Cortez. So Dan Spreen there down into 10th, and he will struggle on this lap if he has got any damage. He might have just wanted to sit him behind, but no, I can tell he's got damage. He's got winglet missing on the left side, I think, of his car, and Ron's right on the back of him as Marcados has spun coming off turn number 7. So Marcados has spun, he's off nearly into the wall. Think he's recovered that at the wall. No end plate damage on the car, and he spins again, and Marcados has ran once again, and that is not how you want to do your final race of the season, Marcados. He's right down the back of the field, but you never know. Anything can happen in 20 laps here in Bahrain. Safety cars and all that. Marcados has still got a chance, and especially so, he can go long on that sort of medium compound tyre as he spins, I think, again.
Yeah, not going to plan for the AlphaTauri driver of Marcados, as Will took a bit of the curb and nearly had a tank slapper. But yeah, it's quite an interesting top 3 at the moment. The soft runners pulling.
Will Murdoch spun! Oh, no. He's in the wall! Will Murdoch spins at the final corner, took too much curb, greedy on the curb, and it's a VSC. VSC deployed, there's the car in the wall, the Alpine out of the race, 1 Alpine and 1 Haas now for the constructors. Joey not doing enough, but Dan Spreen takes this opportunity to fix his front wing and to pit in with the VSC obviously deployed, which I think is better than anything, and Marcados is doing exactly the same thing into the pit lane as well. But that was Will Murdoch just catching too much curb. He must have got caught in a little sausage curb on the outside, just flung the car around, and unfortunately now Will Murdoch is out of the race, and Will Murdoch, there goes my P1 prediction as well, so I'm absolutely cursed here tonight.
Yeah, he might not be Mystic Meg anymore.
I am human after all.
Yeah, we've just found that. But yeah, these drivers, some people might say they're aliens on the track, but they are human. They're just very quick drivers, and yeah, they are proving it. So, as we are under the virtual safety car, drivers must reduce their speed by 40%. No overtaking until the green flag, and the drivers must keep to a positive delta. If not, you are going to get a drive-through, and I have to say, I think James can agree with me, I fell short to a few of them, as I am the commentators, because one of the SXT drivers has been given a drive-through penalty. What are the chances? I think he's not going to like me after this race.
Yeah, Yogan, I think, is going to come for you after this race. After that one, he will serve up his drive-through penalty, I think, immediately, though. He can serve it up this lap. We've now got back going into green flag racing. Rudy's right on the back of Cortez and Dutch Missile. Not coming into pit lane, though, Yoga, for his VSC infringement there. But Cortez on the back of Dutch Missile looks like an immediate move. The Mercedes on the back of the McLaren. We saw this before in Bahrain in real life this season. And Cortez pulls the outside line into turn number 1. He'll go for the switchback out of 2, and then for the inside line coming out of 3, but he's not going to get the move done as Rudy makes a mistake actually coming through turn 1 and 2. Then Hyper gets the move done there as well, but he lets him back through, and Cortez goes to the inside on the DRS down and towards turn number 4, and he gets the job done. Beautiful move, and he's through, and he's into P4 as well. All the falls for Cortez. He's through and he's into 4th. Rudy back through, and Hyper as well. Hyper, I think, let him through. Not sure if there was an illegal overtake perhaps in that, but Rudy there through, and he's into 6th. But Rudy there again, getting a little bit sideways out of turn 7. He looks like he's actually now beginning to find his rhythm once again. But just in that little point where he had a mistake out of turn 1, it looked like he lost his rhythm entirely, and it just knocked him for 6.
Yeah, just reading through the chat, and looks like Knuth is playing with Monopoly money tonight, as he's put Joey first, Rudy second, and Markados third, and he's just put, well, ignore that. I've basically just ignore what I've said. Yeah, if we had Monopoly money this evening, I think we wouldn't just be spending it on betting on the drivers, I have to say. But yeah, no, Marlon is still keeping up with Joey, only 6-7 tenths, as I believe James has something's caught his eye.
Rudy nearly went into the back of Dutch Missile into the final 2 corners. Goodness me, that was late on the brakes from Rudy. He's obviously not going to get the move done here. Hyper's actually chasing him down in towards turn number 1, but nobody, I think, is close enough in towards turn number 1. So Joey leads the way, Marlon in second. Those on the set softs are getting away, but we are reaching the crossover period between softs and mediums, normally around lap 6 or lap 7. Then drivers tend to pit in from around lap 9 onwards. So mediums for Yogurt should be lasting them and should be now starting to gain him the time from around this point onwards. He has lost a little bit of time, but it's only because Marlon is in the DRS ahead of him on the back of Joey. Dutch Missile's under pressure there from Rudy. Rudy looks like he's now got back into the groove slightly. He looks like he's now beginning to control his race once again. Cortez a bit sideways there just in front of him there as well. And yeah, Monopoly money, by the way, gamble responsibly is what I will say. Don't use any real money to gamble your life savings away or anything like that. Monopoly money always way to go, because at the end of the day, it's fake.
Yeah, and I think I echo what James just said, as Markados has got a 3-second time penalty, and it just seems like these soft runners, they are pulling away, and I think they're trying to do that so they can create a gap to the drivers behind for that crossover period. And Marlon is still on the chase to Joey, the Alpine versus the McLaren, and I just wonder, is Joey a little Fernando Alonso this evening, and just being that little bit of a brick wall for Marlon as they make their way down into turn 1, as SXT Yogurt, I believe, is serving that drive-through, or is that a pit stop?
Nope, drive-through. Yeah, he's serving his drive-through. He just came into the pit lane. He would have had one more lap, I think, to actually serve it up. So he's came into the pit lane around, and he comes out in 8th position. Rudy, by the way, got the move done in towards someone on Dutch Missile, so the former IFR drivers are through, and they're into 4th and 5th position, respectively. Rudy, of course, now joining the Talent Factory team, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, and he has been a very good sign, I've got to say, for them. But Yogurt there, he was 3.2 seconds behind. Marcus has a penalty, and I think that's a retirement into the pit lane. It is indeed. 5-second penalty speeding, and he retires in the pit lane. Disappointed end to the season for Marcos. He promised so much, I think, in the early parts of the season. He looked like a title contender at various points of the season as well. And I know for a fact, no matter what tier Marcos is going to be in next season, whether he goes no line, whether he stays obviously no assists, remains to be seen. But Marcos is one of those drivers that catch my eye throughout the season. Certainly one of those guys to watch out for. Obviously not champion or anything like that, but watch out for him, as the yellow flag in Sector 1 is for his car coming out. Why do Codemasters do this? It's frustrating. Why did the AI come out on track? It's ridiculous. Rudy's on the back of Cortez though. Shazoo man and the former IFR man, the Talent Factory man, going 3rd and 4th position. Marlon trying to hunt down Joey, but I think he's made a slight mistake there at the final corners. Back out to 8/10 per second. The gap for the lead. I'm watching that on the mini-map, but watching this on screen with Rudy and Cortez, and this should be a very easy move from Rudy the champion on the run down and towards someone on the Portuguese man. Sails to the inside line. Even before turn number 1, the car is already ahead, and the Haas is through, and he's into 3rd. And at this point in time, Storm, in terms of the constructors, Rudy doing more than enough to wrap up the constructors, even though it's only a one-man show at this stage.
Yeah, it's like a boxing fight. It seems like Joey threw the first punch in qualifying, but Rudy's coming back for that second round punch, and yeah, he is literally on a charge at the moment, as Knuth did put in the chat, as Rudy, second half of this season, obviously I haven't been here, has been absolutely insane. This also, Marlon is getting rather close. They're coming through the second DRS, and I wonder if Marlon, down that start-finish line, may just start to have a look.
I think he will, to be honest. Yeah, he's 4 tenths behind on Joey. He hasn't been entertained in terms of the lead battle at the minute. And back to Nude's comments there about Marlon. Marlon hasn't been on no assist for too long. I think he's only been... Oh, no, Joey makes a mistake. Out of turn number 12, it's a big mistake as well. And Marlon's right on the back of him. In towards the final couple of corners. He's just going to sit him waiting behind. He may as well just bump draft him at this point in towards turn 14. He's not entertained at all by this. But this is a free opportunity for Marlon. I'll come back to the comment there. But Marlon's now on the back of Joey. There's the free opportunity, and he's going to take that free opportunity by the scruff of the neck and come through for the race lead. So Marlon now into the lead of the race. Joey making one of his, I would say, characteristic mistakes. However, he just got caught on the curb through turn 12, and that curb is deadly at points where you can really crash out of the session. But Joey there is down to second, trying to fight back on the run up towards turn number 4. He's got no response to this stage, and he saves up his ERS, which he has been draining quite a lot so far in this race. Cortez on the back of Rudy, not going to be close enough, so I'll come back to that comment with Marlon. Marlon hasn't been on no assist for too long, so I reckon next game he'll be even more consistent. Totally agree. And of course, if he is quicker on the next game as well, could even be an F2 driver. I think this is I thought I saw a McLaren spinning for some reason there. Very weird indeed, but Marlon holds the lead, Joey in second, Rudy in third. There was no McLaren spinning. I think I should just test my eyesight out a little bit.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Oh, it's, you might want to look behind Joey, as we've got a bit of a battle behind Rudy Cortez and the Dutch Missile, just coming through that 45-degree left-hand turn. And yeah, that could be a pretty important fight for that final podium place.
Oh, Marlon spins! Marlon's in the wall! Coming out of 13, didn't even see what happened there. I think he's got caught on the outside curb, he's gone into the wall. And judging by how he ended up there, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got rear wing damage in that car, because he ended up backwards out the final two, out of turn 13 there. And Marlon is okay, I think. Is he going mediums? He has to, surely. Going for a set of mediums at this point in the race. Wouldn't be surprised if he retires it, but I wouldn't be surprised also if he goes for a set of mediums, and I think that's exactly what he's doing. As Dutch Missile comes out of absolutely nowhere on the back of Cortez. Got faked in for a move there by Hyper, and Cortez has to do a bit of lawn mowing there. Dutch Missile's doing his into third. Hyper in fourth. Cortez there in fifth, and Cortez is letting run through, and Dutch Missile, fair play to him. I was gonna say he came in from absolute nowhere and was living up to his name. That's good sportsmanship through there. I'll take that comment back. Dutch Missile back into sixth. Cortez there in fifth. Good respect showing. And that just comes to prove drivers have respect for each other, and that will not be going to the stewards that instant.
Yeah, that was... as Dutch
Cortez
Missile gets a better exit and gets that move back. Yeah, as James mentioned, at this top level, the driver's respect is very high, and yeah, that was... a little bit of respect there shown from Dutch Missile. I have to say, I saw him in Jeddah, and what I saw, yeah, this is a far much more improvement. And yeah, he's just shown that respect and that class. Then he knew he made a mistake, and he gave the position back. But he didn't hang around when Cortez made his mistake, and he got that position back within a few corners.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's got side pod damage on the right side end plate, or on the right side of the car. There's something up with that car, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in the pit lane here. Yeah, it's either a front wing change or it's side pod damage, because he came flying, and yeah, it's side pod damage, because you can tell by the demeanour he had going into the pit lane there. It is front wing change, and it's also, I think, side pod damage, so terminal for Cortez. Cortez, I'm sure, very angry at that move. I think there's a lot that could have been done in that move. Dutch Missile got faked by Hyper basically in towards turn number 1, and Dutch Missile completely messed up his braking point. I'm sure we've all been there before where we mess up our braking points and then just get sent into another driver. Dutch Missile, I know for a fact he didn't mean that at all. I'm sure there's going to be some nice words after this race as well between them, because at the end of the day, respect is more than anything out on track. However, though, that does bring our cars down to 8 drivers at this moment in time, but Joey leads the way. Rudy there in second, Hyper there in third, but Storm, we are now reaching the point where Rudy's having to use up a bit of ERS, but the gap now from a set of mediums, from a set of softs to set of mediums, the crossover period has been reached, and Rudy is now beginning to gain, as I'm on board with the wrong car there.
Yeah, this is now where Rudy comes into his own element. He is now going to be laser focused into chasing down Joey, who is on the set of soft. but it's only going to be a matter of time when Joey has to pit, because then the soft tyres. Yep, he's in. He is going to box, and Rudy will be your race leader as he crosses the line, and he is now in P1.
Yep, and the overcut strategy around here, do not rule Rudy out for actually leading this race, because remember, Joey has to go mediums now, Rudy has to go softs. This is looking increasingly likely that the last first challenge is actually on, and I'd even say at this point, Rudy is probably going to win this race. I might look back on that, and if he spins, I'll definitely look back on that, but he is there in the lead of the race. Joey is there in 6th position. Look where Marlon has came out. Because of that incident into the wall, and because of that that spin, look at where he is now. He's 5 seconds behind Joey. He's got a really good undercut on him, but he's 5 seconds behind Joey, and if he didn't end up spinning there, Storm, probably would have been side by side, coming out the pit lane, in towards turn 1. It could have been anybody's game if Marlon didn't spin, but Marlon just now has to sit, focus, reset, and he's got 18 laps in front of him. Anything can happen in these 18 laps.
Yeah, just watching on board with Hyper. Coming out the final, I wouldn't say the final corner, the corner just before the second DRS, he went off track. I just wondered if he needed to correct himself, as Ron is right behind him. And yeah, hopefully there's not many more mistakes coming, as we would love to see a battle, as Ron is within DRS as they come round to the final corner, which will be on the exit into the DRS on the start-finish line.
Yeah, and Ron on the back of Hyper is close enough. Remember, Ron started the position ahead of Rudy, and it just comes to show how much Rudy's pace is actually at this track. Yogurt as well has been gained by Joey. That VSC drive-through penalty that he picked up, not really the greatest thing in the world, I've got to say, from Yogurt's perspective. Joey is going to close him down in towards turn number 1. P2 saying, yeah, 11 drivers. We would have had 13. One of them disconnected, as one of them felt, Nuther in the chat felt that he couldn't race because he was getting really bad input feedback, I think, from his game. And Rexnig also had disconnection issues, so that's why Rexnig's not racing here. We would have had 13. Might be disappointing. Hopefully, though, we're still going to get a good race. It's a bit of a flat season finale, I've got to be honest with you, but it's still a season finale nonetheless, and we'll continue on. And regardless, as Yogurt got a little bit sideways there at 6 and 7, on board with Joey, who's looking to try and gain him. And do you know what? I think this move is on in towards turn number 11, which will be the left-hander at the end, towards the middle sector at the end of the DRS straight. Ron has made a mistake as well on the back of Hyper, but Joey is all over the back of Yogurt. He's on 11 lap pressure tyres. Surely this is going to be an easy move by the Alpine. Has to be a crucial move as well, because remember, Alpine are in that Constructors' battle in second, and Yogurt, do you know what? He just lets him through. Yogurt lets him through. Joey's into fifth. That was a lot easier than what I was expecting, but it didn't look like, actually, Storm, when I was right on board there, Joey was being entertained by that move, and he wanted to probably get it done in towards turn 1.
Yeah, I think Joey wanted a little bit more of a battle there, but no, fair play to Yogurt, and I think that's where the respect comes in. Yogurt knew that that wasn't his race that he could fight, and he knew that, you know, it wasn't on for him today to be fighting for that race win. So he knew if he let him through and just run his own race, and that's what Yogurt is doing. Even though I say that, Yogurt is still closing up that gap, so maybe a little bit of tactic there.
Yeah, DRS train, remember, as well for Yogurt, so he can just keep on going with Joey. He's got 12 lap older tyres, basically, than Joey at this point, and he can stay in the mix, but there's more corners around the DRS trains around this track as well, so Joey will begin to pull away. This middle sector will be that pull away point, probably around a second, and you can just see, even coming out of 6 and 7 there, Yogurt, as Dan Springs picked up a penalty right at the back of the field there, coming out of turn 3, Yogurt has already lost 4/10 of that second, basically, from in towards turn number 4, and Joey's just so much quicker through the corners. He gets the curb very nicely indeed, and look at that, Yogurt makes a mistake, and he's nearly out of a second already, so Yogurt there in 6th, rejoins the track, he's 8/10 off him, keeping on with that DRS train. He'll be out of that DRS train very soon indeed. Ron on the back of Hyper as well. The Estonian doesn't look like he's got enough pace. I've got to be honest here, it's not. Rudy's just holding that gap out in front. Joey's obviously gaining, but these guys have to think about maybe a one eye in the pit lane very soon indeed. Set of softs do last around 11 or 12 laps around here if you're very careful on your tyres, but it all depends on what Rudy's going to do. I think the longer he goes into this race, the better chance he's got to win.
Yeah, and do you know what would be really perfect right now? A safety car.
Yeah.
because it would really spice it up. No, I'm not saying to any driver crash out or anything. I'm just saying hypothetically, a safety car right now would open the playing field to drivers like Joey and Marlon who have pitted, who may be just thinking, three laps for the safety car to come out. Maybe we can push a soft compound tyre as that Yogurt picks up a 3-second time penalty.
He does indeed. He's there in 6th position trying to chase down Joey. He's taking it more aggressively, I think, because he wants to try and just get in that second, try and close in on Joey. But look at the gap now, 9/10 of a second, and Yogurt again is pretty much out of that DRS range, coming through the double leftist turns 9 and 10. Rudy, though, leading the way. Hyper in second, Ron in third. Rudy begins to extend away once again on the back of Hyper. Ron there in third, Dutch Missile in fourth, Joey in fifth, Yogurt in sixth, Marlon 7th, Dan Spreen in 8th at this point in time. Hopefully you are enjoying the action. There's probably better tiers on at this stage than F3, but you never know. We could spice up the action with getting that safety car, as Storm alluded to. Obviously, not wishing for anyone to crash. It's the worst thing, the last thing that we can hope for. But it is Formula 1. Things can happen. Incidents can happen. Safety cars can happen, and you know what? A season finale to spare could happen as well. Looking through the chat, by the way, in F2, the current stream going on at the minute, Bolin, Louis and Kazizel front three. I believe they've just had a safety car a few laps ago. Steph Kuhn, Legend and Frankie all out of the race, but Bolin leading the way, Louis in second, Kazizel in third, and F2 champion, of course, who's the F1, running on the back of Hyper and towards turn number 4, doesn't get the move done there, but Shazoo Tom, who of course won the championship in F2, he's been promoted after his race win last week in Imola. He's now an F1 for the season. You can catch that stream right now because it is now live.
Yeah, and just a quick mention as well to all the drivers that have won and the constructors in PSGL this season so far, and anyone else that does win further down in PC or PlayStation. Massive congratulations to them, as I know it can be quite a difficult job to win a PSGL championship, as the drivers here are at their absolute best. Doesn't matter if you're PSF1 or PSF15, we all want to say a massive thank you and congratulations to them for entering the league and winning the championship of their tier as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you do want to tune into the F1 action, by the way, you can get a Luke Etheridge face cam right now if you do want to tune in for that. I'm sure you want to know what he looks like. Ron on the back of Hyper, though, is going to move for P2. He goes to the inside line down the straight, and the Estonian is through, and he's into second position. Finally, a little bit of spicy action kicking up there. Ron through, and he's into second. Hyper there in third, Dutch Missile in fourth, Joey there in fifth. Yogurt, though, is doing a phenomenal job in sixth position. He's keeping on the back of Joey. He's getting so much time. He's going to be another one going onto that set of soft compound tyres. He is going to be in, it's all going to be in vain because he's going to be absolutely miles behind Joey if there's no safety car. But he's there in sixth position, he's there on sufferance, and he is still trying to gain on the back of Joey, which is really good indeed. If you're wondering why, by the way, why we haven't got any face cam on the F3 streams, I don't have that software at this moment in time. However, I can exclusively reveal ahead of season 31 that I am going to be getting OBS, Stream Deck, whatever else that needs to function to run the graphics and everything, and that is probably why I'm going to be, whatever tier I'm going to be doing next season, I will have graphics at the ready for PSGL. So, taking a step up in the world is what I will say. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially myself, working with you, hopefully in other leagues next season, and that's going to be an interesting one, I have to say. And full credit to yourself. Getting that cheeky upgrade that I'm sure a lot of us would admire, especially myself, as I've had to unfortunately reset my PC, so you can feel my agony for a couple of weeks until you get that. But Yogurt is into the pits, and that is going to be, I believe, for a set of soft compound tyres to round off his final laps here in Bahrain. Yeah, 12 laps on a set of softs, probably will be able to manage to the end of the race. Rudy has pulled out another second, though, on this gap. I think he pulled that out around 2 or 3 laps ago, but Rudy leading the way now by 3.6 seconds. Ron in second. This just comes to show how lacking in pace Ron has got here tonight. Hyper's still on the back of him. If Ron was the usual Ron, he would have probably left him for dead. He would have been out of the DRS range to Hyper. No doubt about that. Hyper, though, was a very good driver. He's in there in 3rd position, doing a really good job. Nuth saying as well, Wames Weed. I don't know who Wames Weed is, but I think that might be a sort of J, perhaps, like the German is trying to insinuate there in the comments. That does possibly mean, well, I will exclusively reveal I'm doing season 31 next season. I'm going to be around for another season, that is for sure. Depending on what tier, though, remains to be seen. Jess is the head honcho here, of course, in terms of commentary, so it's up to her where she puts me. But I think with the graphics and everything, there are available slots, is what I will say, for the top tiers, because I know Luke is going to PC next season and doing potentially one of the top tiers there for PSGL, but I will back off that because Hyper's on the back of Ron, and towards turn number 1 the Ferrari dives it down the inside line, and he fakes the move. All of that excitement for absolutely no reward at the end. Hyper stays 3rd, on the back of Ron there in 2nd, and we continue as we are, and just look at how much Rudy has pulled out on Ron now. 4.6 seconds. Joey is going to be about a 10-second gap ahead of Rudy. These softs will close at 2 seconds a lap. Do not rule Rudy out of this race win. It's going to be a very, very good race towards the end. Even if we've got 8 drivers, I'm still expecting a very good fight once these guys go on to a set of soft compound of tyres. As Nuth said in the comments there as well, guess I have to get into F1 then. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
And I have got the same issue I had Thursday. The game licensing issue. I think I know what's causing that. I'm going to get that fixed. I know what's causing that because I game, I used to, with my sister, so, yeah. So that's going to have to be a fee. But yeah, as James mentioned, he's going to be here next season, but unfortunately, I'm going to be stepping down to a reserve, no, I'm not stepping away completely, I'm not stepping away from commentary.
Ooh.
I just want to get back to, what I signed up really for, which is racing. As Hyper is into the pits.
Rudy's also in from the lead of the race, and Rudy is in. Where is Joey? There is Joey, just on the left-hand side of your screen there. There he is, passing the pit lane exit in towards turn 1. Ron has gone on by 4.5 seconds out in front. Rudy, though, set us off compound tyres. Just look at how much time he's actually lost now being on those set of mediums. This is how much time he's got to gain. It's a good, maybe even 15 seconds coming out the pit lane here. We'll have to wait and see. Here he's coming out the pit lane now. Interval timings, please fix yourself, because I need to see what Rudy's time is coming through turn number 1 and 2. But I would say, if I was a betting man, that's probably around 13, 14, 15 seconds, somewhere like that. And Rudy's got to gain basically 2 seconds a lap in 10 laps, basically. Can he do that? As he comes through the first sector split, and the interval timings again have just completely glitched themselves. So hopefully that will fix itself as they come to the end of the lap. But Rudy out of the pit lane, behind Moron there in 3rd position. Moron there is doing a good job. He's in a net 2nd position actually out on track, because Ron still has to come in the pit lane. Rudy there in 4th. For my sufferance, Rudy's about 3 seconds behind Marlon, and he's probably about 12, 13 seconds behind Joey. This can be done by Rudy.
Yeah, and, hopefully I get to see the end of it thanks to my game. And
don't talk that now.
The interesting thing is it only happens with F1. Any other game, I don't have this issue, so I may need to uninstall it and reinstall it. But I can't do it right now because we are coming to the final 9 laps. There's a car off in the back. That's Yogurt as Ron is into the pit. So Ron goes a lap later than Rudy. Is he going to get in and out by the time Rudy comes round? No. As James just puts that so effortlessly. No.
Yeah, I mean, Ron was well behind, I think. Rudy could be coming out of the pit lane anyways. And just for that retrospect, Ron is nearly side by side with Just Missile coming out the pit lane. Yogurt speeds into the pit lane and retires out the session. Again, he could have picked up points, though. He could have picked up points. He's there in 8th position minimum. Get you 4 points. No, get you 3 points, I should say. 3 points is still better than nothing and taking no reward out of this race. But just for sufferance, Ron was 5 seconds behind Rudy before Rudy pitted in to the pit lane. It was around 4.7 seconds. Ron now, though, is 8 seconds, 9 seconds behind Rudy. And that just comes to show what pace Rudy has got on these set of softs. But this is going to be the big problem now. He's got Marlon in front of him. He's there in third. His ERS is on 13%. Has he got actually a chance of winning this race? He's 10 seconds behind on Joey. As long as he gets ahead of Marlon, I think he'll close. But 10 seconds in 10 laps? It's tough enough, even with Rudy at the wheel. Never mind anyone else.
Yeah, that's like just about. Oh, as Marlon
easy.
picks up a penalty, as that move is got done and dusted already before turn 1. And yeah, just going back to that 9.2 now, he's going to have to do nearly a second, a lap gap down.
Yep.
So yeah, that's maybe mission impossible.
Maybe mission impossible, but as I said at the start of the stream, if there's anybody that can do it, it's Rudy. And he is the champion for a reason here in F3. And he is pulling away from Marlon, which is good. And he's already pulled 0.4 of a second through this first sector alone. Purple first sector, that's what he needs for, I would say, the next 3 laps onwards. As Hyper picks up a penalty on 3 seconds. He's also going to close in on Marlon before the end of the race. And just with Rudy's pace, look at how much he's having to use up that ERS. He's using it at basically any point where there's a straight. Because he knows he needs to gain this time. It's now 8 seconds the gap between Joey and Rudy. Joey there, to be fair, is on only 10% ERS. I think Joey needs to save up ERS quite a lot. I think just back off, save ERS a bit of time. Rudy has got to use up his tyres. What would you rather save up? If you were in Joey's position right now, Storm, what would you rather do? Save up ERS and let Rudy catch you and then pull away once again at the end of the race, which I think Joey will, or be Rudy and absolutely obliterate your tyres to get onto the back of Joey and then have nothing left for the final few laps?
I think, me, personally, as Rudy sets the first lap, Rudy is on absolute charge. I think you've got to save up that ERS. If you want to defend, you've got to save up that ERS. And yeah, he needs everything on his car at the moment. Literally ERS, DRS, whatever he can get, Joey needs it.
Yeah, Ron getting through into 5th position. Sorry to cut you off there. Ron through and he's into 5th on Dutch Missile. Easy moving towards turn number 1. To be fair, though, most of the field have actually got limited ERS, actually, apart from Hyper, who's above 10%. He's like on 13%, I know. Joey is the same as well. He's also there. Nuth saying, no, at that point, there's no point in saving. Just use it on the main and back straight and save up in Sector 2, because you save up to nothing when you're in clear air. Totally agree, and I think that's what Joey has to do. He has to save that up, basically, that ERS. Really also have to save up that ERS. But remember, once they get under 10%, all of this ERS now just waltzes away. It derates down the straight, and that is going to be Rudy's problem. 6.5 seconds the gap. He's pulling in another second, so he's doing enough at this stage, but the tyres are going to drop off in around 4 or 5 laps' time, and my concern is he'll still be too far away in 4 or 5 laps' time.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a situation if he can't get that gap down. Well, he won't give up. I'm pretty sure that, but maybe that last to first might just be a little bit too much for Arsky, as we come on lap 23, 6 laps to go, and yeah, it's getting very close. As really is 6 seconds behind Joey.
He is. Dutch Missile on the back of Ron as an interesting battle there, just fighting for position at this stage for 5th and 6th. Looked like Ron was pulling away at one point, but Dutch Missile's latched onto the back. He's saving up ERS as well. Exactly what you want to do in this scenario in 6th position, and you're getting a good, handsome amount of points as well while doing it. But Joey leading the way. 5.6 seconds now the gap. It's closed another second since the last lap around. But this is where Rudy is going to start feeling it most. In the middle sector, he's still using up the ERS. He wants to use up this ERS as much as possible. If you are one of those doubters thinking he's not going to catch, I will tell you now, this is on. This is on for Joey and Rudy for the lead of the race. no matter how Marlon is going to approach this race, he's going to get caught by Hyper perhaps in the next couple of laps. So that'll be the first battle to watch on. But Rudy is flying. As long as he doesn't make a mistake and he doesn't, as long as he doesn't catch any curbs out on track, Rudy is fine and he's gaining. And it's 5 seconds of the gap. And I would say now, Storm, come back to me in 4 laps time when I say this. But Rudy will be on the back of him in 4 laps time.
He probably will, James, as, yeah, that gap between Hyper and Marlon is now going to be... Yep, it is now under DRS. And I wonder if Hyper will get him. But they both have penalties. I'm not quite sure what Hyper has. I will just double check.
Both three.
Both three. So if Hyper can get past him, it is going to be a podium for the SXT driver in the Ferrari. And Rudy is now down to 4.5. He is literally, we might as well say it, Rudy is now hammer time.
It is hammer time. Dutch Missile on the back of Ron. Hammer time for him, but he's not going to get the move done in towards turn number 4. He's just going to wait and sit there behind the Estonian. Hyper, though, does not want to sit behind Marlon. The German is under pressure from the Dutchman and behind. Hyper gets caught on the curve through turn 7. Nearly sends the car spinning. Recovered that well. 4.2 seconds now for the lead of the race. This is beginning to get very exciting, I've got to say, in Bahrain. Who said Bahrain and 7 drivers, or 11 drivers as we start off this race, was boring? Quality always over quantity, and that is being proved here tonight as Hyper is on the back of Marlon. This is easy for the Dutchman to the inside line, into 11. The German overtook, and Hyper's through and he's into 3rd. And now, he's not obviously going to gain on Rudy. If Marlon can stick in there and stay within a second, that's going to be a phenomenal battle with the final 5 laps to go after this one. Joey leads the way, Rudy in 2nd, but he's only gained 7 tenths of a second this time around. It'll be 8 tenths coming out the final corner. And Rudy, I think now, for the first time, is beginning to feel the effects of that limited ERS that he's running. He needs to save that up desperately if he wants a chance of winning this race. The further that Joey stays in front, the more likely it will be that he is going to win this race. But the further that Rudy catches, the more likely Rudy is going to win this race. And the more likely Dutch Missile is going to get 5th position on the back of Ron into turn 1. And the Dutchman is through on the Estonian, and he's through and he's into 5th. Nice move, that.
Yeah, but Ron can get that position back. Ron could actually take a few positions, as he, with Rudy and Joe, don't have any penalties. So Ron might have just let him through, just to let it... Well, the penalty situation. But yeah, Rudy down to 3.3 seconds. I think it is going to be maybe the last lap or the one before, but Rudy has Joey in his sights. He sees Joey in front of him, so it's all now down to Rudy. Can he do it?
Do you know how I said in 4 laps time, come back to me? I genuinely don't think now he's going to catch him. Because 1 lap 26, he's got to gain a second a lap. The second a lap is now gone. He's only catching 7 or 8 tenths. 7 or 8 tenths is not going to be enough. If we do the maths, he's going to be 2 seconds at the end of the next lap. Then it'll be 1.2, and then only if he can carry on at that momentum is he going to be within DRS range, going on to the penultimate lap of the race, potentially. So Rudy's 2.8 seconds behind. I'm not saying he's going to do it. He probably will. But I'm not saying as well that this is on. Because Rudy, for me, his tyres, he's taken too much out of them. And more likely or not, those mediums for Joey are going to be coming back and getting that second stint as Ron's now down the inside line on Dutch Missile into turn number 1, gets the job done, the Estonian. That is a good battle, that, going on for now 4th, because Marlon there is in 4th there as well. Ron there in 5th, Dutch Missile in 6th. But Rudy, as I was back to that point, 2.6 seconds now the gap, 2.5, beginning to close again. But what effect has he took out on those tyres? Because by the end of this lap, if he's not under 2 seconds, he's got no chance of winning this.
Yeah, as James pointed there, at the end of this lap, he's got to be under that 2 second. He's at 2.4. He's got to find 4 tenths somewhere. He can literally see Joey in front of him. Not touching distance at the moment. But, yeah, he is, I don't think, going to make it. He may just fall short by a few tenths, as on this lap, he is 1.1 seconds slower than his fastest lap so far this race.
2.2 seconds the gap. He's absolutely draining that battery down the straight in towards 714. He knows that this is on. I think this is too much work for him, though. 2.1 seconds the gap. He is over the 2 second margin that I mentioned. And that for me is not enough, because he's going to now drop off to around 5-6 tenths of a second per lap. Rudy, in potentially the final lap of the race, is going to be within DRS range, but it's only if he can keep up the gap. Ron, by the way, is going for the move on Marlon. Into P4 he goes, and Dutch Missile is going to come absolutely steaming at him. Down the inside line, potentially in towards turn number 1. He sounds it on the brakes, he's done it way too deep, and he goes off into turn 1, nearly into the wall as well on the outside. And Dutch Missile, I can only live and say, that was pure lived up to his name. He came like an absolute missile down the inside line in towards turn 1 as if he's just been shot out of a cannon. That is his chance now for P4 gone, and it's now between Marlon and Ron for that P4 position. Rudy 1.7 seconds though. This is still not over and done with, but Rudy has to save up that ERS. There is no other answer to it. He needs to save that ERS. Joey is saving up that ERS, but he's still got less than 10%. And it's all going to come down to who has saved the ERS the most. And for me, Joey is doing a phenomenal job. And I think he might just squeak this at the end.
Yeah, I didn't think on a Monday night I'd be saying Haas and an Alpine are fighting for a race win.
Constructors as well.
Well, yeah, and constructors as well. So, yeah, this is going to go down to the wire. Saying we'll now come through the final corner.
Oh, Rudy's nearly spun! Oh, goodness me! Rudy nearly spins out the final corner, and that just comes to show how much aggressive he has been on those set of soft compound tyres. And that is potentially now, if that comes back to bite him at the end of this lap, and he's not within a second, that slight mistake coming out of turn 15 has just cost him a potential race win. Rudy now needs to drain that battery as much as possible. He's gone too aggressive though on those tyres. And for me, Joey looks like he's just sitting there, comfortably out in front. He's having to work for it, but Joey there out in front looks more assured than Rudy does. And Rudy, 1.3 seconds the gap. Rudy is on for this, but this is going to be an absolute... If he's not under a second, Joey's won the race. If Rudy is under a second, Rudy perhaps has won this race. It's going to come down to the final lap.
It is going to come down to the final lap, James, as... I believe Rudy doesn't have... No, he doesn't have DRS. He's now 1.2. He is literally in touching distance of the Alpine driver,
it's not enough.
Joey, as I don't think they are going to have enough, as I mentioned before. He is just going to fall very, very short. He is 1.2 seconds, as I think something has caught James's eye.
I'm just watching Rudy and thinking he's going to be out outside of a second. There's a DRS detection point. He's out of DRS. Joey has got this now. As long as he stays ahead on this final lap of the race, Joey has won this. Rudy in second is having to hunt him down. The hunter has become the hunted, and Rudy all of a sudden there in second position is right on the back of Joey. He's literally within touching distance, but he's taken too much out of those tyres, and it's literally what I was concerned about. If he took too much out of those tyres, that is what's cost him the race win here. It's been a phenomenal drive from 13th on the grid up to second, or 11th up to, on the grid up to second in this case. But Rudy there in second position, he's just about sneaking into DRS range on the final lap of the race. That was my biggest concern. People should listen to me more often, I think, in terms of my strategy calls out on track, because I've watched these guys for so long, and I've watched league racing for so long. But Joey is doing a phenomenal job. Rudy is on the back of him. This time he's within DRS. Has he now got that slipstream advantage to good effect? He's within 8/10 of a second. This is not over and done with, ladies and gentlemen. Joey leads the way. 7/10 of a second. Rudy there in second is bearing down on him, but only with a few corners to go. It looks increasingly likely that Joey is going to win this race out on track. Alpine are not going to take the constructors, though, out on track either. Joey is now slowing up through the final couple of corners. He wants to give Rudy a bit of slipstream. Look at how close he is. You can pretty much reach him with your hand out the cockpit at this stage. Rudy is right on the back of him, but Joey is now coming through the final corner. The Brit with an absolute masterful stroke of strategy. He's going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. Joey to the line, hangs on by 4/10 of a second in the end. Rudy there in second. Great finale. Rudy was chasing him down. Another lap, it could have been different, but Joey takes the win. Rudy there in second. Hyper will lose that position on the podium to Ron. Ron finishes in third, the Estonian. Hyper there in fourth. Marlon, what could have it been for him in fifth position? Look forward to seeing what he can do, though, on the new game, along with most of these guys as well. Dutch Missile there in sixth. Dan Spreen. Can we just tip our hats off to Dan Spreen? He's the only man He was going round out on track, pretty much being last the whole way. He's going to pick up the wooden spoon for 7th, but he's also going to pick up a really good, handsome amount of points. And he finishes in P7, and I commend him for actually finishing this race where others haven't, as Dutch Missile comes to the line, finishes in 6th, and steals the fastest lap of the race as well, so that's an extra point coming his way as well. And Dan Spreen there in 7th position. But Joey takes the win, Rudy in 2nd, and Storm... That was literally tenderhooks for a moment, because I thought Rudy all of a sudden was going to do it. Joey, though, masterful strategy, had too much ground to make up Rudy, and that's what won him the race.
Yeah, it was a picture-perfect moment for the British driver of, I nearly said Rudy, Joey, there in the Alpine. He might have not got the Constructors, but he takes the final race win here in Bahrain, should I say. And yeah, Rudy gets the driver of the day, of course, doing the last to second challenge. Was quite short, well, not that short, should I say, of that race win. If he had one more lap, I think he would have got it. But it is an Alpine day, and it is Joey on for the race win, with Rudy in 2nd, and I believe that is a Red Bull on for P3, which is Ron.
Yeah, Ron finishing in P3, the Estonian. Rudy, by the way, I think sums up possibly his frustration in the final stint of that race. The guys were in the first stint, effed it. They were fighting like maniacs. That is the comment possibly of the season there from Rudy, and it all came down to 0.3 per second. If those guys weren't like maniacs, Rudy could have just stolen this race. He could have absolutely sailed away from Joey. But in the end... more than 12 seconds coming out the pit lane was the gap, and Joey and Rudy had to gain up that, and he came 0.3 short. One more lap in this race, it would have been different. But Joey takes the win from Rudy there in 2nd, Ron there in 3rd. Hopefully we'll be able to get the top 3 in as well. Hyper there in 4th, Marlon and 5th, Dutch Missile in 6th, Dan Spreen in 7th, and then the DNF's out on track, which is disappointing, I've got to say, for F3. Would have withheld the standings a little bit more, I think. But Yogurt, Cortez, Marcos and Will Murdoch, I think, because they're all DNF, they don't get classified in the points, if I'm not mistaken. So they will not get any points, even though they finished 8th, 9th and 10th. Yogurt, Cortez and Marcos, they will not get any points, I do not believe. Joey saying as well, if we're doing interviews, we've got to do it quick. He's got fajitas to eat. Do we let him have his fajitas, or do we let him go for an interview? I would say, probably, let him go for the fajitas.
Yeah, I think there are some well-deserved fajitas. Yeah, congratulations to Joey, and to everyone who has watched PSGL F3 with James and Logan, and whatever reserve commentator James or Logan has had. It's been an absolute pleasure to share the com spot with James for Jeddah and Bahrain. And hopefully on the new game, we'll see a lot of these drivers return and fight it out for whatever championship tier they're in on PS, or if they move to PC, as I'm sure a lot of the PS drivers are moving to PC now. And yeah, it's been an absolute privilege to work with James again. And we will see you guys, well, I will, and James, see you back next season for another incredible season in PSGL for season 31.
Yeah, whatever team I'm going to be doing next season, trust me, I hope it's going to be as good, if not better, than F3 this season. Because F3, I know there's been complaints from some of the drivers saying, oh, F3 didn't have a commentator last season. F3 didn't have any streams last season. F3 had had every single stream this season, plus, obviously, co-commentators, streaming and everything else along the way. So I absolutely understand what the drivers were saying at the start of the season, and they were thinking, oh no, what's James doing here? He's not going to be commentating on me, is he? Unfortunately I did, and unfortunately we got to the end of the season. I only missed one because of F2 last week, but otherwise, it was a fantastic season from my perspective. Big congratulations, of course, to Rudy on the race win. And I want to tip my hat off to every single driver that turned up, no matter if they got promoted or demoted, or if they obviously crashed out, finished the races, finished consistently, won the championship. Every single driver made F3 happen this season. Not us, the commentators. We only do it for free. We do not get paid. We take time out of our lives, as much as these guys do out of their lives, to obviously take time, practice, and make sure that these guys give you a good show out on track. And I think that's what they did, without, obviously, a bit of drama here in Bahrain, but certainly it was a very good race. But yeah, that ends off, I think, a brilliant season here in PSGL F3. Big shout out, of course, to Miss Jessica Ball, to Connor McDonough, to Louis Dupont. Every single person that has made PSGL take over this season deserves a well-earned and characteristically good break, I think, because, of course, PSGL signups are going to be opening. I'm not going to put a date on it because I'll probably get sacked if I do. But they will probably be opening in the next couple of weeks, maybe when the game actually releases, and then see where the land actually lies in terms of that. But brilliant also. Nuth also saying in the chat, by the way, in the F3 chat that we've got, thanks for commentating this mess of a race. You're very welcome indeed. I've commentated on many messes of a race in this time, but that was probably one of my favourites actually this season here in Bahrain. But yeah, big thank you to everyone behind the scenes that has obviously helped PSGL tick along, from the commentators to the stewards to the admins. Every single person makes PSGL work, and whether you love it or hate it, PSGL is a part of the League Racing family, and it is here to stay going into Season 31 for sure. But, Storm, I'm going to give you the floor now. Who on earth is your driver of the day?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Do you know what? I'm not going to give it to Rudy. I know he's done a fantastic race. I think I'm going to... It's a toss-up between Ron and Hyper. I think I just can't split them. They both had a quiet race, good race today. Ron started at the back of the grid, got himself up on to a podium. Hyper had a few battles at the end there, got himself top 5 position, I believe. But yeah, I just can't call it between them two.
I honestly was not expecting you to say either of those names, because I was going to go for Joey. I was going to go Joey for driver of the day. I think his second stint, he pitted so early for the set of mediums, but he made them work. He made them completely work. Rudy had too much time to gain, and if Rudy was on another lap, had another lap in him, he probably would have got him down the straight in towards turn number 1. But that didn't happen. It's only a 29-lap race. It's not a 30-lap race. And for me, Joey, in terms of his strategy call, got it nailed on, and he gets my driver of the day here. And driver of the season, which I'm just making up on the spot as I go along, has to go to Rudy. Been absolutely dominant all season. A big shout out as well to Mr. Cameron Dowds. No matter what tier he's going to be in next season, remember, he's only 13, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 12, 13, something like that. He's got a big future ahead of him, and he looked very quick here in the early part of the season before he got promoted in F3. So big shout out to him, and of course a big shout out to all of our drivers that raced here this season, whether you got promoted or demoted or just stayed in the league to come. But that rounds up very nicely indeed. F1, by the way, is live and exclusive. They're just about to start the race, and there's a poll going on at this moment in time. Who will take the championship, Isma or Matthew? I'm going to be a little bit biased because I have commentated on him more in my league racing career. I'm going to go Matthew Alder for the win. And in terms of them lining up out on track, looking where? Matthew Alder is 10th, Isma 7th. Going to be an interesting one. But we're going to end it off here for F3. F1 is currently live. Hopefully you're going to be tuning in for that one. I'm going to be in the comment section there as well. Big thank you to Storm, though, for joining me here tonight as well. And we are going to leave you for Season 30 of PSGL F3. So thank you so much for watching. And until next season, on the next game, goodbye.